Welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards. Cindy Dole with Eric Stromer, and you think about this.
Yeah,
what would you do with your family?
What would I do? What would be a great solution for a family with 3 small kids under 13? What would be my action plan?
I don't know. I mean, I can see you like trying to take the guy down. Like you're not going to get this.
I think I would go for someone like that. But again, I don't know what the protocol is.
I think I would just go numb. I think I would just try to go with the flow, and I would be afraid, and I would be completely numb. But let's find out, because we're talking with the crime doctor, Chris McGoey, who has worked in this business as a private investigator, a consultant, crime prevention expert for years. Chris, nothing like this has ever happened to you, I'm guessing, but you have had a lot of clients in situations where it has happened. What stories just kind of go through your mind when you think about this topic?
Well, because of the work I do, I'm far more paranoid than the average person. So I do everything. I mean, I have guns locked and loaded, and I have backup systems, and my doors are so fortified your foot will fall off before you can kick it open.
You're like, try to come on over here, right?
So, but you really, people hire me and pay me money to sit down and hold this meeting that I am advising your listeners to do. And that's essentially what we do. We walk through what would you do. The people that want to have guns, those that are like the idea of having guns. Well, how are you going to keep the gun? Is it going to be loaded? Is it ready? Is it accessible? Or do you have children? If you have children, then you got to worry about them getting into it. So is it going to have a trigger lock on it? Is it going to be in a gun safe? And so we're talking a home invasion is immediate. You could have time to go get this gun, unlock it, do the combination to the safe. Same thing with pepper spray. Where's it going to be if you need it in a pinch? So the answer is most of these things, they're not available. If we're just going to live a normal life and try to relax when we get at home, then we have to be able to do things that are available to us.
Well, and in terms of having a plan, I mean, it's kind of like anything. I mean, we talk about having a plan for an earthquake, or talking about, they tell us, the state experts and such, to physically walk through, pretend that an earthquake is actually happening, so you can go under a desk and do all that stuff like we do at school. And it seems to have the same effect. Doesn't it feel that if subconsciously when that scary moment happens, you just react and you already are ready, you're trained? Exactly.
So let me just give you some real quick and dirty scenarios, and there's 1,000 of them, but if your plan A is to run, everybody runs, or run in different directions. The risk of home invasion is if they capture the whole family and herd you all into one room and you're trapped, and then, God forbid, they tie you up or something, all of your options are gone. So if everybody goes in a different direction, like termites when the lights come on, somebody can get away. And if anyone can get away, and that's what your boys should do, Eric, and get the police coming, the stopwatch starts, and their time is up, and the cavalry is going to come. Home invasion, they can break into your house at 9 o'clock at night and literally hold you hostage till 6 in the morning. That's what you don't want to have happen.
So everyone needs to have a role, it sounds like, in this family.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now, if your plan is to run, in our house, that's one of our scenarios. We're going to run to a certain room. This certain room has a door that's fortified with a deadbolt lock on it that's self-latching and self-locking. So all you have to do is run and slam it behind you, and it's going to latch. So that's going to put a significant barrier between you and this person. In that room, we also have a telephone, a hardwired direct dial, and a cell phone. So if somebody wants to cut the cable, it doesn't make any difference. We also have weaponry and other backup systems in there. So if we could run to a quasi-safe room, that'll give us time and the tools we need and to get the police coming. There might be other, just again, it depends where you live and how paranoid you are or what you think you need. You could do different things throughout the house.
And do you recommend a rehearsal procedure, like come up with some scenarios and run through them almost like a fire drill?
Yeah. I mean, escape. If you have a 2-story house and your kids, you want them to escape, the plan is they're going to escape and go to the next door neighbor. Well, they're upstairs in the bedroom. How do they get down?
Unfortunately, I can tell you how they get down. They climb out on the roof and they go on the fence and go into the neighbor's lawn. So this is actually already happening.
And this won't give kids nightmares to have this rehearsal, right?
Well, some it will.
Yeah.
Some it will, but it's reality. What would be a worse nightmare? Be laying on the ground all tied up, watching your family be assaulted or someone killed?
Yeah.
I could tell you stories that would scare your listeners. which I won't do, about just that. So, yeah, ask your kids, ask your teenagers, Eric, how do they get out?
Mm-hmm.
Your teenagers know where everything is hidden in the house already, I guarantee you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you do have a gun in the house that you think is hidden, they know where it is. They've already had it out. They've already played with it. They've shown it to their friends. Might even shot it.
Yeah. You've been looking at me with night vision goggles, haven't you? I could tell.
But Chris, if the psychology of these guys, these home invaders, is to somehow intimidate us, do we want to let them win and feel like, okay, whatever you say, sir, but even though we're doing our role because we've had our family meeting and we know what we're going to do to be strategic?
Yeah, it's really not about them. It's about you. And you can't apply logic to this situation. These guys are criminals. And they just broke into your house, and they don't give two hoots about you. So you can't be really trying to think, well, what's going to appease them or what's going to make them go away or not hurt me. It's better for you to put together an affirmative family security plan where you could act. And then you're more likely to survive it, or certain members will survive it, or help will come in a reasonable time. So you can't be thinking logically necessarily about it. So just decide what you're going to do. If you're by yourself, then you have to figure, what am I going to be able to do all by myself to be able to either escape or get a barrier between me and them, get help coming. I have some tips on my website, crimedoctor.com, and that's not a plug, but a simple tip is to have a telephone that has a speakerphone on it. You know, the kind you could just walk up and push one button? Mm-hmm. And if you do that, if you have it programmed to 911, it'll call 911. Even if you're tackled 2 seconds later, the call will connect. And law enforcement is trained and required by policy to send a response. And because it's a speakerphone, just by pushing the speakerphone speed dial, you're on speakerphone, and they're listening in. So they're able to hear what's going on in the room. And I've seen cases where really some people that were really thinking started talking out loud about what's going on. So they knew exactly that it was a home invasion robbery, and they sent the proper resources,
Mm-hmm. And the neighborhood watch system is such a great one for anything tied to problems, whether it's a disaster or a crime and so forth. And it sounds like that would apply to both burglaries and home invasions. I mean, we had a neighbor who spotted this white van that just said home improvement on the back. And it turned out, it was these guys they were daytime burglars looking for a target. They came up to our house. And luckily, and I was away, but my dogs apparently scared them off. So, but the fact that the neighbor was kind of watching out for us, how could we coordinate that in terms of both home invasion as well as, just prevention and crime of all sorts?
You have to do it. When you're sitting down with your plan, this is one of the things in my plan, and you have to initiate it. You go out and talk to your neighbors and tell them, this is what I want to do. I have a plan in my neighborhood where the neighbors in homes, 3 homes across the street, the homes on each side, the homes behind me, I went out of my way. I'm saying me. My wife actually did it. We have their names, have their address, all their phone contacts. We have the names of their children. We have the types of vehicles they have, the license plate numbers that they have, the name of their pets, everything. And then we published a little neighborhood directory. So anytime someone's going away on a trip or on vacation, you're expected to call and let at least 2 people know to keep an eye out. You're supposed to use your neighbors. Go pick up their papers, take the junk off your doorknob. If someone breaks into your house, there's a broken window, everyone's pre-authorized to pay for it until you get back. Same thing, if you see someone suspicious, you act instead of just, walking the other way. You actually do something about it.
What's interesting for me in this conversation, the idea of thinking about this happening to you or your family is so terrifying that just the act of going through this conversation and going through a rehearsal process in your mind, telling your kids to have a plan as well, I think that is a great first step, because it really just
you feel empowered.
It gets you to deal with some very difficult issues that you never want to think about in your life. But I think, as your point, it's just a good idea to start to get this in your consciousness a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about the concept of burglarize yourself. Burglarize yourself. So go in there and imagine if someone ransacked your home completely, whether it's through a home invasion or a burglary when you're away, and they took all the good stuff, and you came home to find it. How would you go about filing a claim? Most people that have been burglarized that way find that they don't recover what they think they would recover because they can't identify what they've lost. They've never taken the time to photograph the contents of their house, record serial numbers, keep receipts, keep any record of property, including guns, serial numbers, whatever it might be that you have. And that's a wake-up call. When you do that exercise, you go, wow. And if you set about that project one day, it's the same thing for home invasion. You go around your house, you look at all the possible points of entry, your doors, your windows, and you can get pretty good at it. How is someone going to get into my house? And what can I do? If someone forces their way in and they haven't got a hand on me yet and I run, where am I going to run to? So if I run into a room, could I close the door? Does it have a lock on it? And most homes either don't have locks or they don't have adequate locks or doors. Just start going through the steps. And if I'm locked in this room, is there a way to call? Because if you're going to have a cell phone, it's undoubtedly going to be in a different room than you, so you need to plan ahead for if I have to retreat to a room, will I have the tools in there that I need? And you need to keep them current. In the kitchen, we have a fire extinguisher that does double duty, but my wife and I know that in a pinch, a fire extinguisher will work a lot like pepper spray.
Perfect.
Yeah, that inventory seems like a great exercise. You're right, because you forget about all the purchases you have, and I think that's a great first step also.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk more about not only the home inventory, but some more things you can do, the gadgets and things to have around your house, old school, new school, and can't forget dogs, to keep your home less likely to be a target. You're listening to Home Wizards. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole here, and we're back after this here on KFWB News Talk 980.
I fought the law.